Now behind me is the KTM booth, and I am incredibly disappointed that it is going to be useless to us because it's a bunch of old bikes that, quite frankly, I don't care about. However, Husqvarna is going to come to the rescue. No, I don't mean the bicycles. No, I don't mean the two-stroke. What I mean is the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401. And the reason this bike is something I want to see is that because while KTM miserably failed us by not bringing the new 390, this bike is mostly the new 390. Only shorter. This is the new 399cc engine. This is the new exhaust. This is the same WP Apex suspension. You're gonna notice how it's offset. The brakes have changed, the disc is the same. This is gonna look very, very familiar. A lot of the design choices here. This frame is all going to be the same. The suspension, our WP Apex. Of course, this bike is very low, sitting on 17s. Disc in the front does look very different from what was on the existing 390. They're blocking it off, but here we do have the same adjustable suspension. This is the new levers, adjustable, very interesting. Wow, that is stiff, but I guess you don't really want it moving out of the way. Another look at the frame here. This is somewhat disappointing. This looks very, very exposed. I do like that we're going to be getting the orange frame on the 390. Now, I had mentioned that the resonator, which causes heating of the shock, might be a problem on the new bike, but it does look like there's a relatively decent amount of distance between there. It's not as close as I feared it would be on the frame. Now, what I wanted to look at on this bike was the build quality, because this frame is the same frame. These bolts are the same bolts. This metal is the same metal. This is what we're going to be getting as the basis of the bike. And I'm going to say, I am not seeing a significant increase in quality from what we already have. This is all pretty much the same. This metal feels and looks the same. I'm not getting warm and fuzzy feelings because if you own a 390 Adventure today, you do realize that the bolts are soft. It is not uncommon for people to be posting on the Facebook group, hey, my bolt snapped, what do I do? My threads are cross-threaded, what do I do? The metal that these are made of is not necessarily the top quality, and with bolts, that can be a problem. Everything about this seems much more similar than I had hoped. And really, the reason I was hoping is that now that I've had time to go look at the other Indian product here, the other big Indian adventure bike, the Himalayan 450, I was impressed with the build quality of that bike. And I believe when I was looking at that bike, I was saying, I really wish we had the new 390 here to compare the build quality. Fortunately, we do have the Svartpilen, same factory, same machining, same parts, and we're able to do a comparison of that. Now, I'm going to take a million pictures and videos of this bike, then I'm going to go back to that bike so that in the future I can collect my thoughts with images to give a more thorough rundown of it. But right now, I saw that bike yesterday, I'm seeing this bike right now. I'm giving the build quality to Royal Enfield unless something is dramatically different. All right, let's take a look at the exhaust here. Coming down. We've gone from not one, but 2 sensors changed from the old model. And I guess we should have understood that we were going to get a minimal exhaust, because here it is on the Svartpilen already. I do want to comment that I really like the angle of this swing arm. It is reminiscent of the Yamaha Tenere. At least gives me the look that it's pushing that wheel right down, which is fantastic. As I mentioned in earlier videos, I'm really concerned with how several pieces of this bike just stick out. Like this right here. You are absolutely positively going to need a good skid plate, or hopefully an aftermarket removal for that, because that is in a bad area. And it's in a bad area on the next bike as well. Now, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I'm exhausted at looking at motorcycles. I'm actually kind of tired. So I continued down the stairs towards the, I don't even know what you'd call this area, but we're gonna call it the backwoods of the show, to look at some of the more esoteric things. I'm gonna say right now, man, I don't even know how this got created and how many people broke bones working on developing it. But this is the dream of every single 10-year-old boy. Any 10-year-old boy who has started a lawnmower has said, can I turn this thing into a vehicle? And somebody turned a Honda lawnmower into a vehicle. This is bizarre and hysterical and is dangerous beyond words. Tilt board. My God. That is just asking for trouble. It's kind of like the custom motorcycles. I'm really glad it exists. If there's one thing I do not have, it's creativity. And I really like to wander around and look at custom things and say, I'm glad other people do have creativity, because that's just wild.